Welcome to the Feist.
Everything you want to know about your favorite women's sports in one feisty hour.
With your feistiest friends,
Kelly O'Mara
and Sara Gross.
And this week, guys, we are talking Women's Rugby World Cup. It's already setting records and hasn't even started yet. And we talked to Canadian rugby star Liv Apps. Plus, Sara really needs to tell you about how she nearly had her dream of a WNBA player falling on her.
It was so close. You know, when like
it was so close.
I went very quickly from never having seen a WNBA game live to
full-on fan.
Well, I've slowly been on the slow trajectory to becoming a super fan, but like to being like right there in the front row, players falling at my feet, Kelly.
Did you get your fit? Well, I guess we're going to talk all about WNBA in a second.
Yes.
Because we got to hear the full Canadian WNBA
experience. Yes.
But first, we're going to talk about the sports I watched because they were less exciting. Not that the sports were less exciting, that I wasn't courtside.
You weren't courtside,
yes.
But it's still exciting for those.
I got weirdly okay. So we talked about flag football before.
Yeah.
And I had like mixed feelings as we discussed. Like it seems like fun, but also like it's the NFL trying to like take over. Oh, they have started putting signs up in my neighborhood. They've come for our neighborhood now.
They started
NFL
putting
flag.
To like recruit for flag football.
Yeah,
for
like
like
NFL
amateur flag
for
football?
high school.
For high school. Okay. I love how you're like they've come to recruit from.
No, they've come. I like knew it was coming, and now they've.
You make it
NFL
sound.
signs
You make it sound so nefarious. It's like
it is.
They just want kids to play sports, Kelly. It's okay.
No, it's a well-run marketing campaign. But the flag football game at the World Games was this weekend, and we talked about the World Games last week. It's like the Olympics for non-Olympic sports, and like the biggest thing at it this year. Not the underwater diving or whatever you sent me. The biggest thing was the flag football.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, like the biggest, you mean like the most popular thing to watch?
Yeah, like the one that everyone's, because it's obviously getting ready to go into the Olympics for LA 2028. So it had like all this. So I was watching it and Mexico beat us in the final, which is very disappointing.
Beat you. They didn't beat us.
Beat the U.S. I don't even
the
know
US.
if Canada was there.
The U.S. Who knows?
Who knows? But I got all excited because there's this woman on the U.S. team, Izzy Garachi, and there was this story about how she might be the best receiver in the world.
Yeah.
Like man or woman, like even the NFL coaches say, you know, sure, she could get like pummeled by a linebacker, but in terms of like just receiving the ball, she's like one of the best.
Right.
And so I went down a hole of like watching her like highlights
like
and
clips.
And she can like grab a ball like one hand anywhere in the air. Make it happen. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's a skill.
I know.
Mm-hmm. I kind
And
of
it's
love
super
that.
interesting because she used to be a D1 basketball player and then like played football as a kid, but went to basketball because there was no women's football.
Mm-hmm.
But then she's like not big enough to make it in WNBA.
Right.
So then it was kind of like, what is she going to do? And it just so happens that
flag is on the rise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
That is cool. That is cool. Yeah, and a friend of mine actually sent me that clip that I then sent you. Like I hadn't really thought through last week when you said it that like the World Games was all the Olympic sports, because like that could mean a wide variety of things, right? Like you could make up anything. So presumably there has to be some kind of rule around how many, like a variety of countries have to play it, et cetera, et cetera. I'm assuming there's some rules.
Yes.
But like the what was it? Mermaids, fin swimming or something and how fast they are. They have those like giant, like the mono fin that goes on both your feet and just like literally plowing up and down the pool. Like that was impressive. Was it not impressive?
Maya, one of our like, I actually have no idea what anyone's titles are at Feisty.
Well, she's
but like
she's
production
a content person.
Mm-hmm. She's really listening to this right now. She went down a deep hole about how they do free diving in a pool, like for depth and time underwater. Yeah. And it's like they like do laps. It's very crazy. It's very weird.
So yes, I interviewed last year everything feels like it's last year in my brain. It was probably 3 years ago on the Women's Performance Podcast. I interviewed a free diver. I think she held world champ, because I think they hold records, right? Like world records. So I think she had a couple world records, and it was amazing. Like I heard all about her training and like how they learn to like hold their breath and how they like literally are risking passing out at any given time. And you need
it doesn't sound like something I want to do, you know?
No, I mean, although I don't know, have you ever done like the when you're a kid and you're like, let's swim from one side of the pool to the other underwater and have a contest. I love those.
And one of the girls at swim practice passed out one time. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay, can I just say this is in the vein of previous episodes that baby freediving is one of my lost sports.
Right, maybe that's what you would have
when
done.
the recruiter comes knocking,
right.
They're going to be like, Sara, we heard about your freediving breath holding specialties. That'll be me.
But yeah, the World Games has all kinds of stuff that was super interesting. They also had this like new kind of speed climbing where there was like 4 athletes going at the same time. And they're like next to each other racing up the rocks, up the fake rocks. But
yeah, are they over water, hanging over water?
No, it's just like a climbing wall, like a bouldering wall.
Okay, cool. I love
there's lots of stuff. So I watched some of that. It's pretty interesting. I also watched, and I feel like some people in our audience, if I watched this, I actually only watched like clips on social because I don't think they aired the Leadville 100-mile trail race. I can't imagine they air it anywhere. But I watched like parts of it because I was following like your like following the little dots and where they're at.
Yeah.
And
on the GPS.
On the GPS.
Dot watching. Okay. Yep.
And Anne Flower broke the 31-year-old course record and came second overall. Like the only person who beat her was the guy who broke his course record. Which is crazy because that course record has been around since 1994. Like only 2 people had even ever come close. Like it was thought to be sort of, like the woman who said it was an icon, sort of untouchable. So
yeah.
And this was her first 100-mile. She didn't even realize that she was going to break it because she had her watch set to time of day.
Oh, wow. Did you? I have to say, though, I feel that. I used to race like that.
Yeah.
I used to like go out on the bike in triathlon. I would be like, I just want to be starting my marathon by like 1. And then I just have my watch on. You're like, all I have to do is run a marathon at 1, just get back in time to run the marathon at 1. And I'm in good stead and maybe could win the race. So I like that. I appreciate that strategy.
My watch broke one race, and as I was like exiting, you're starting the run, there was like a guy running next to me who clearly was lapping me. And I was like, I turned to him and I'm like, what pace do you think we're running? And he was like, what the fuck? Like, I'm lapping you. Like, I just thought he might be able to tell me.
Yeah.
Like, because he had a watch on. Yeah.
Do you have a watch on? What pace are we running right now?
Yeah. Right now.
Amazing. So. Anyway, so Leadville, like in the mountain biking world, Leadville's a really big deal. So like beating that course record's amazing.
Yeah. So this was so there's like a series, right, where there's a marathon, a 50-miler, a 100-mile mountain bike race, and a 100-mile trail race. There's actually a woman who did all 5 of the series races over like, I think it's like 2 or 3 weeks.
Wow.
My favorite part of the whole series is that if you won, I believe it's like the Silver Rush 50, which was 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks, you earned an entry into the Leadville 100, either for this year or next year. And I guess the woman who ended up winning took it for this year. Oh. She was like, well, I'm pretty fit. I'll do it.
What was it like the week before?
It was like 3 weeks before.
Oh,
so
wow.
you basically, if you win it, you get an entry, and you can either decide to do it in 3 weeks or do it the following year.
Yeah.
And she was like, I'll do it in 3 weeks.
I'll just do it.
Yeah, why not?
Nice.
Yeah. So I thought that was, so it does not sound either, also does not sound like my thing. It's all above 9,000 feet elevation.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
so that's what I went down, the holes I went down.
Well, I watched the WNBA game. That's what that was my, that was my watching women's sports for the week. It was, Kelly, it was probably the most fun I've ever had at a sports event.
The most fun ever. You're even putting it above our Paris Olympics.
Paris Olympics. There was the
rugby game. Yeah.
That was exciting. But okay, when we went to the Paris and we watched everything in Paris, but rugby was my favorite thing. I've said that a number of times. But we were like very far back. So this is like a different experience.
Because you were like on the court.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you were like, it was just amazing to be on the court and to see, like, when you're kind of, I don't know. Yes, you are like me. I was going to say, I don't know if you're like me, but you are. When you're seeing things from further back, you're kind of like, you kind of think weird things like, they're not that tall. You know what I mean? But when you're actually like right there below the net, watching them shoot and stuff, you're like, these women are so athletic and so fit and so tall, and their skills are incredible. Like there really is something about being that close that really like helped me appreciate that on another level. Not that I obviously thought that they were incredible already, but but this was
another level.
Yeah.
And this was the game that was in Vancouver.
Yes.
And it was a big deal because it was like the first regular season game ever played in Canada.
Yeah. So we've had exhibition games. I know we had one in Edmonton once, but we've never had like a regular season WNBA game. And part of it is around just like bringing the WNBA to Canada, because we have Toronto Tempo that is obviously one of the new teams added to the WNBA for next year. While we were at the game, they announced that Toronto Tempo is going to play 2 games in Vancouver next year, which I think is such an amazing move, like to continue to like create that fandom in a different city, and also to like create a weekend out of it. So like literally WNBA fans from out of town, like from all around BC or wherever, can come to Vancouver for the weekend and take in 2 games, right? Which is also great for tourism and everything else. So I feel like it was a very smart move, and they made that announcement on the night. The game itself, like I don't know if
you're like, the actual basketball part of the
basketball. It you know, when you're just like really hoping that something's going to be a great game, like you don't want one team to kind of completely take out the other or whatever. You're like, we need a really good game to happen right now. They gave us just the most incredible basketball, right? So like the Storm was leading, Seattle Storm was leading for most of the game, and then Atlanta Dream like made this big comeback in the fourth quarter, and I really thought Atlanta Dream was going to come back and win, but like Seattle Storm had done so well the whole game, you kind of were like, and we didn't know. It was funny because we were at this pregame party and we didn't even know who we were cheering for.
Right? You couldn't decide.
Because people are like, oh, are we cheering for Seattle because we're closer to Seattle? Right. Or like, and I'm just like, I'm cheering for basketball. I'm cheering for the WNBA. And
sounds like such a Sara thing to say.
But it's, I honestly, I think it's a thing. Like, I think that there are a lot of women's sports fans, first of all, who are like cheering for women's sports. Right?
Wasn't this a joke kind of going into the Olympics where it was like, I just hope everyone has fun out there? Like,
oh no, I'm not there for the fun. I'm personally there for the fun, but not as bad as that. I'm not as bad as that. But I really want, I want the level of basketball to be very high. I want to see an amazing game. Like I want the WNBA to be thriving. I want the players to be paid, right? Sure. But I'm cheering for basketball. And cheering for the WNBA, and love this massive expansion that they're undergoing right now. So we're just kind of like there for the hype of the baskall. So the entire time I wasn't able to choose a team that I was cheering for.
No, really? The whole time?
Yeah. But it came down right to like within the last minute, there were 3 timeouts. Because
that's how. Sorry, as someone who's never been to a basketball game before, Sarah, that is generally how basketball games go.
I've watched basketball, but it only goes like that if it's close.
Yes.
Right? Like if it's not, that's how you know. Sorry, I was saying that to like reinforce that like it's such a close game that like in the last minute everybody keeps like timeout.
Right.
To obviously that's a like tactic, right? For like stopping the flow of play. And so it could have gone either way, and in the end Seattle Storm did take it just by 1 point, but wow.
We're getting down to the end of the regular season, and so the playoffs are like top 8 teams make the playoffs. That's just like how it works in WNBA, as opposed to if you're more familiar, if our listeners are more familiar with how it works in NBA. So WNBA is top 8 teams, and we're getting down to it, and it's so like Seattle is like 7th right now. Valkyries are like 7th right now, I think. So it's all very close. So it's gonna come down to it.
Right.
Sorry, I still have a cough, so I'm like,
oh.
And even in the newsletter today, I was like, I keep forgetting other people are not Valkyries fans. So I'm like, we can do it.
Right. Oh. Sometimes I do feel like I need to edit your wheeze into like.
Right.
But yeah, and so the other thing I noticed at the game, like again, the fans are just a completely different demographic than you see in men's sports. A lot of kids, like a lot of like women across all kinds of like ages, and just a wide variety of people. But what I loved was like two of my friends, their sons were there. They were 12. I think they're both 12, actually. Two 12-year-old boys who were then in their courtside right under the net, like just eyes wide, like so excited to see these professional athletes playing. Like they're not going to know any different, right? And then one of the players at the end threw at the kids like with her sweatband from her wristband, and he stared at it, and you could see he was just so amazed and shocked that this had just happened to him. Like he got this sweat guard from this basketball player, and I just like that. I love that. That is something so amazing that's happening where we didn't see that. Like sorry, this entire podcast is just turning into like me being amazed at women's sports, but
amazing, isn't it amazing?
Like, it's amazing, Kelly. It's amazing. But it's one of those things where like
we were at some event and people kept saying women are amazing. Women are amazing.
Exactly. That's me with women's sports. I'm just like, I can't believe this is happening. But because literally I was that kid who was like, why do women not have professional sports opportunities? Sure. I don't understand, And so now it's all just like happening in my lifetime.
It's all happening. I was thinking when I was looking then at the list of like expansions, I mean, you look at like, so the Valkyries are the most recent one, and it had been 18 years. 17 years, 18
yes,
years.
I saw that in the newsletter.
Yeah. And now it's like next year or two more, and then 28, 29, 30. So it's like it's like clearly we're on a roll now, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I really like, it does make me, I mean, maybe I'm being slightly pessimistic even for me, but the fact that they added, 5 teams?
Yes.
Now is like, oh gosh, I hope they haven't moved too fast. I hope that they.
Well, this is why I keep telling you, you're not going to get a Vancouver team before at least 2032 because they got to like give themselves some time,
some breathing room.
Yeah,
I want a Vancouver team.
You could root for Seattle. That's always an option.
Apparently, it's an option, but
I
can't choose.
I can't choose. Oh man,
Toronto Tempo. That'll be my team next year.
Good. It's all of Canada's team. I think that's the brand. That's the marketing.
That's the marketing, as it should be.
That they're going for.
It's the Canadian team. Yeah.
I can tell that obviously I'm like all about the marketing campaigns from the NFL, WNBA right now, and that's definitely the campaign they're going for. They're trying to make it Canada's team. They're obviously
as they should. I mean, that's an appropriate way to market something right now in Canada. To have especially like in this political climate, right? Sure. Like we're buying more Canadian goods just across the board. Canada is uniting under all things Canadian. So
under all things,
and Canadian. The WNBA is bringing us together.
There you go.
You go.
Perfect. Yeah. All right. Did you watch any other? That was your sports for the week. Did you do any sports?
I've had a busy week.
You know what? I got inspired. We've been doing a How Does It Get Started mountain biking series for in like our triathlon and cycling brands.
Oh yeah.
To get people out on the dirt and like with the Xterra World Championships coming back to the US. And I got inspired to go mountain biking this weekend, and I used some of the tips while I was out there, Sarah.
That Lindsay gave in our social. And was it good? Lindsay's a great rider.
It definitely helped. Yeah. Including the one that you can get off and walk. I also did that.
It's a good tip. Okay, so for anyone who doesn't know, Lindsay used to work for Feisty full time, and now she helps out with some production on the back end, and she's been doing this sort of how-to mountain bike clips on our Feisty Triathlon Instagram page, if anyone wants to check that out. And they are quite useful. She's a great teacher.
Yeah. So I thought about some of those things while I was mountain biking, and my confidence still exceeds my skills, as we've established on this podcast. So I did have to get off and walk a few times. Right.
I always do sports every week. Was it swimming? Did I tell you I went swimming?
You only go swimming like once a year now.
I know. It's about once a quarter, to be fair to me. So I had my quarterly swim, and this time, I feel like I'm repeating myself here. This time, like normally I get like a couple 100 meters of feeling really, really good. And then like my old triathlete self. And then I sort of sink into, I'm not that fit for swimming. But this time I got 0 meters of feeling good. I just swam. But because I'm so tough, Kelly,
you just toughed it out.
Did the workout anyway. Yes.
Amazing. Amazing, Sarah.
This
is what we're learning from our professional athletes. This is
right.
Brilliant. All right. We actually did talk to a professional athlete today. The Canadian rugby player Liv Apps. After this makes me laugh because after I pressed stop on a recording talking with her, she was asking me about my fitness and I was like, oh, let's not talk about that. But we'll hear from her in a little bit. First, we do want to go back to in the weeds, deep in the weeds. We're going to go deeper in the weeds than we went before. A couple episodes ago, we talked about the return of sex testing in track and field. Go back and listen to that episode if you want like a deep dive. But basically, World Athletics Track and Field announced that they were bringing back this gene test for the SRY gene, which is connected to the Y chromosome, ahead of the World Championships. So every female athlete who wants to compete in the World Championships in the world has to have this test on file by September. There are a lot of issues. We won't get into all of them, but we did get a voicemail from a former pro runner herself, Sasha, kind of about some of the specifics of the topic.
All right. You asked me if I'd provide some comments about the podcast. So you talked about World Athletics introducing sex testing. So I want to start with, Molly Herford and I covered this on Strong Girl Talk back on April 2nd. And I want to frame this from, I do not agree with sex testing. And then secondly, I'm all for inclusion. So I want those two things to be very upfront as I frame this conversation. So this isn't actually breaking or shocking news. On February 10th, World Athletics actually opened a consultation from February 10th till March 5th. They had a consultation around sex testing and the implementation of it. And so, I think it was a binary there with a 90%, let's go with some Bayesian thinking here. There was a higher probability, probably not 90%, but a higher probability that they were going to introduce sex testing. And if you had followed what, Seb Coe was discussing in his, I'm blanking on the word here, but Seb Coe wanted to be the IOC president, the International Olympic Committee president. And he had said that if he became president, and in the lead up to that, which was before this February 5th consultation, he had said he would introduce sex testing at the IOC level. So, we shouldn't really be surprised by all this. On March 28th, there was a press release, and this was absolutely buried in the press release. The press release had a headline about World Athletics awarding, I believe it's Bahamas and Botswana future championships. But if you scroll through that March 28th press release, you see that they are going to introduce sex testing this summer in advance of the World Championships. And they actually at the time had said that they may also introduce it for any World Athletics events like the Diamond Leagues or the Diamond League Championships. One of the things, though, I do want to say is that World Athletics has said that they're going to cover the cost, although in their recent updates, I'm not sure that's entirely true, given that they're only giving $100 per test. And what it doesn't say is that $100 US, Canadian, New Zealand, Australian. With the framing, we can assume that it's not pounds and it's not euros, because there's a dollar sign in front of it. But, there is some evidence to suggest that each of these tests could cost between $300 and $500 per test. And so, as you alluded to in your podcast, for the countries that can't afford this, and I'll get to the money part of it in a second, just globally thinking, but to the countries that can't afford this, is this going to be the nude parades? And to your point, I too am very afraid of that. I would say that one of the things that we really need to think about is that this is a sex screening, right? There's no such thing as a test that binarily says, as you pointed out in the podcast, whether or not you're, male or female. And I'm going to use those words because male and female really are the biology terms that we use in academia. But to say that, you made a comment about general biology, and I think part of the reason that they have gone to this sex screening, right, it's not testing, there's no binary test to say whether or not you're male or female, but why they've gone to this is that chromosomes, Bayesian thinking, again, are more likely to indicate maleness and femaleness, again, thinking in biology, not how people choose to show up in the world. But the reason they went to everybody and not targeted testing is because targeted testing historically has pointed to Black women from the global South. And you mentioned Caster Semenya. And, in reading her book, you can see just how challenging this previous process was and just really how strong that woman truly is. But this, if you read into the details of it, this is why it really is a screen. You know, they talk about partial androgen insensitive and complete androgen insensitive, so PACE and CASE, depending on how people like to say those acronyms. But, you know, in that conversation article, which I've only skimmed, it was quite clear that that person had not read the policy. And so whether or not they were the one who discovered this and this test, etc., is irrelevant in what I'm trying to say here. My point is to say that there actually has been some thought, and I not to say that I agree with sex screening, but in how you would then, if a Y chromosome shows up on this gene, or the likeliness of the Y chromosome then being present with the presence of this gene, the process that one goes through, this is not a binary yes, no, and there's actually some nuance here. And I think, you know, if we're going to talk about people doing better, that this is better. This is not to say that I agree with sex screening. This is not the most pervasive problem that we have in sport, particularly in athletics. And so, you know, if we really want to make sport better, we really need to look at this through a gendered-based lens and think about, you know, the violence that many women, particularly those in the East African countries where we're seeing a lot of doping, where the violence, the gendered-based violence is so prevalent. And so, you know, you can imagine globally if we took that funding, that $100 per test, per organization, how much money we could, you know, invest in maybe actually safeguarding and protecting athletes in a different way. And then I'd also just go on to say that, you know, with this doping challenge that we currently see in athletics, you know, with the cost of this testing and, the cost of sex testing and sex screening, you know, are we not then just better off actually putting that money towards anti-doping and perhaps saying that every athlete that is competing at the world championships has to go through anti-doping? And I know there's some of that, having competed there myself, but can we do better? And if you then actually dive into the WADA, the World Anti-Doping Association code, you know, you are allowed to actually test for sex using a sample. And so if it's really not going to be targeted and we really want to make athletics better, and we know that the biggest challenge in athletics right now really is doping, perhaps that might have been a better solution. Lots more to share, but I've rambled on long enough.
I do like how Sasha calls it and she's right. It's a sex screening. Not a sex test.
That was great language. Yeah.
Yeah. There is no test, obviously, for like, are you a woman or a man? And this is a screening. And to her point, if you pop a positive and you have like a yes for the SRY gene, it is that you then go into this like additional screening.
Right.
Which she was trying, like, there is some nuance. I know, like, we kind of like glossed over that last time, but there is a little, like, you do go into this additional screening, and if you have this like complete androgen sensitivity, which you have to like prove, and you go into more testing, you would still ultimately be allowed to compete as a woman. That is like probably the most common of the rare things where somebody could have a Y chromosome. Right.
Yeah.
I think one of my concerns, and what we talked about before, is like, for example, the last time this happened at the Atlanta Olympics, there was like 7 or 8 women that tested positive.
Yeah.
And like out of the 8, 7 ended up having complete androgen insensitivity. So we went through all this money and time.
Yeah.
And it's like, what was the point? Like, this isn't a real problem.
And the 8th one also had some kind of condition that
had
made
a different
testosterone not useful
and
to
it's
her body.
unclear to me if in that case that would be, because the only thing World Athletics has now said is the complete androgen insensitivity. But to Sasha's point, it's like you do go into this additional screening. So it's unclear to me if, for example, that 8th woman who had another kind of abnormality where she didn't use the testosterone, if she would be allowed to compete. So, like, she was previously, but this is where there's like a lot. I think this is where we're still fighting. There's like a lot of unclarity. What's the word for lack of clarity?
Lack of clarity. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I also like how she said, like, she kind of, even though she said she did not agree with having sex screening, she kind of like was able to unpack that they are trying to do it right.
Sure.
Right. Which I think is kind of useful. Like that instead of, so for example, instead of the way it used to be, which is like targeting testing, right? Which is like basically like somebody dubs you in because you look too manly, and then you go and have to have some kind of test, right? Like, it's to test everybody seems like, at least it seems kind of an attempt to be fair. I was talking to someone about this after they listened to our episode, and she was saying, so again, I'm telling you, this is me just telling you where I'm getting this information from, sure. Based on, and you can do with this what you will, but apparently at Athletics Canada, they were considering charging the women themselves for the test, because there was also the issue around the money. And then somebody was like, put up their hand and was like, well, wait, like that's kind of like a pink tax. Like you can't just charge women $400 arbitrarily for something, but the men don't have to do it. Like that's not fair either.
Well, none of this is fair. Like, to be clear.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like Sasha said, World Athletics is saying they will put $100 to each test, but like you just said, it's a $300, $400 test, kind of depending. So it's not really clear like where that extra money, like, you know, is a runner from Botswana or India, like who's like come up, we're going to pay, like, and there's not labs everywhere.
Yeah.
And even the places that have labs, like they're trying to implement this testing now. And to her point, like, yes, this was like, we could have all seen this coming back in the spring, but they didn't like confirm it until the very end of July. So sure, like places could have prepared, but they didn't. Okay. They didn't. And so now they're trying to implement this testing, and it's not going great. Like Canada took urine samples and then was like, oops, we needed blood samples, but then everyone had left.
No way.
Yeah. And you're like, well, that wasn't good. And then like France was going to test all their athletes at like their national championships. But turns out France as a country bans this kind of testing. It's not allowed because like medical privacy records.
I saw that in your newsletter too. That's so.
So then they have to go and get the test done outside of France. So it's like, so it's there are some issues.
Do you know why France bans the testing?
Well, France has like some pretty intense like medical privacy type.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
They certainly like they have a different view than like other right.
Yeah.
And I think there's some history there as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just funny because now it's like, or I mean, funny, sad face, not funny, haha.
Right.
Because now, like, the World Championships are in 4 weeks, and everyone's supposed to have this test by September 1st. And, like, granted, again, like, World Athletics has said, like, if the results aren't back, like, we're not going to stop people from competing.
Right.
But it's like all of this effort and money and time, and it's like, it's just not a problem. Like,
September 1st is coming up quickly, too. Yeah. And I kind of wonder too, it sort of begs the question of like whether other sports are going to follow suit. Because often sort of between the lines here is like often the Olympics historically have followed World Athletics or the IAAF, which, as it used to be, like followed after them with various rule changes and stuff like that. There's often been like a relationship there. So
for sure.
Like, and what is the Olympics going to do?
Seb Coe, who like heads up World Athletics, like wants to be the IOC president.
Yeah.
President of the Olympics. So he's like, this is all kind of part of solving a problem that doesn't exist is almost always a political move. I feel like that is a accurate statement, you know.
Especially recently, Kelly.
Especially recently. So and I will, so we did have some comments too, and like some people messaged me that said, you know, well, women want this. And I was like, that's interesting. And I actually literally tried to just find these surveys they were referencing. Because a lot of people said like, oh, they'll cite a number. They're like, 88% of women want this. Or 90. And it all seems to come from this one, I don't know what the word would be, review. Yeah. Like says these numbers, but they don't share where they got them from. Like you can't find the survey. The only like fully available like wide survey I could find was one that was done by the University of Manchester, where you can actually like see you know what I mean? Like it holds up academically where it's like, these are the questions we asked. This is how we sampled. This is the language we use. This is right. Like this is how we did it. And you know, they had a mix of international, national level, like they like really broke down. And in that survey, it was like 58% of female athletes wanted the categories defined by biological sex, was like how they had termed it.
Right.
So I was really struggling with like, if only 58% even care about this, how could more people than that
actually want sex testing?
Right.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that just doesn't hold up, and it probably comes down to how you ask it.
Absolutely. Like that's my first question when I come across that is like, what are you asking? Like, are you asking, do you want only women in the women category? Do you want only people who are biologically female? Do you want to be tested? Do you want everyone to be tested? Do you like, what is the question? Right.
Sure.
And so it would definitely, the answers would definitely differ.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there is a space to say that there are
definitely women who want
athletes who feel that who want this kind of testing. Like that's sure. It's not like everybody doesn't just agree with you and I all the time.
No, they should though. It'd be better. No, I just will say I actually like really tried to find this because one of the things I've been struggling with, and we kind of talked, you and I were talking lately, is when people like say something that sounds factual and scientific, especially on social media, and then you try to find it, and a lot of times it's like it comes from some AI generation, and you can't find like the actual source, and so it's very frustrating. So I really did try to find this, and I just like I'm having a hard time.
Yeah, and if someone has that. Has that information in those surveys, because I do have some curiosity around
of, like,
what the current generation of kind of like elite Olympic level women athletes feel about this issue, right? Or I would like, how we just talked about, like there's different questions you could ask, like even just a more broad and general survey about like attitudes around trans women participating in the women's category,
right?
Or like related. I'm not saying that is the issue, but related issues.
That is what the survey I was able to find was
right.
broadly about like attitudes, which was really interesting, and I'll like share it with our producer to put in the show notes because it was kind of the only survey I've seen that it's been done of that kind, kind of broadly asking female athletes what they think, and it was nuanced. It was heavily nuanced by sport, by age, by competitive level, right? Like there was a lot of
experience. Yeah, I wrote an article, I'm gonna say 3 or 4 years ago now, and where I read, and this goes back even 3 or 4 years ago, I was able to basically read every study that had been done on trans women's participation in sport, right? And then wrote this article. And what I said there, I really mean now, and I'm very curious, like what percentage of the female athletic population like feels the same as me. But like because people often ask me this, like, how would you feel? Take the races that you won.
Sure.
How would you feel if a trans woman beat you? And I would absolutely be like, power to her. She's doing more good by being visible, and other trans folks can see her visibility than I do as a winner. Like, I don't really have any
issue.
I have no issue. Like, to my bones. Like, I'm not just saying that. I like really feel that. And so yeah, my commitment to this is goes straight to that, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, people ask that too, and I'm always like, I got beat by a lot of non-trans women too, man. And I think a lot of there's a group of elite athletes that'll just point out you probably got beat by cis women, non-trans women. That's the same thing, whatever. There's also a group of athletes who'll point out you probably got beat by dopers more likely than you got beat by
100%. Yeah, I mean, not
if we're gonna focus on solving a problem.
Yeah, and
not that those are equivalent, but if we're gonna focus on solving a problem with our time and money, maybe we could.
And Sasha said that too, right? Yeah. That like doping, and then also like gender-based violence she mentioned, which I think is very important. Like, and the world of sports is wrought with problems in that realm. So especially in these countries where when you put into an elite program, there's certain expectations. You might be expected to dope, or you might be like sent away from your parents at a young age, and like, so, there's other problems that we can solve.
There are other problems. Actual problems. Real problems. There are a lot of real problems right now in the world.
Yeah.
All right. Are we done with the weeds? We're getting out of the weeds now.
I think we're good with the weeds.
Back out.
Yeah.
We're good with the weeds. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think this topic's going away. I mean, we'll have plenty more time to talk about it because I don't think things are going to start, suddenly. I think the world is headed in one direction, Sarah, and we're not making a turn for at least a little while. So we'll get to talk about this more.
Okay. Yeah. If anyone else has thoughts, too, when you're listening to us talk and you think we forgot something or you disagree, we totally want to hear from you. So send us a voice memo.
All right. But you know what is starting this week?
Rugby.
The Rugby World Cup. So I talked to Liv Apps, she was the captain of the Canadian Olympic Sevens team that won silver. We were laughing because they beat Australia. Like, they came from behind and beat Australia in the semifinal. And then the U.S. came from behind and beat Australia in the bronze medal match. And you got to feel like a little bit bad for Australia.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And we were at those games because we bought tickets that day to go watch rugby, and it was crazy.
Oh my goodness. So first of all, after the French team, we arrived because it was 6 hours of rugby play, right?
Right.
Like
So we didn't go to
we
the
didn't
first
go for the
4
whole the
hours.
first, yeah. And when we arrived, there's all these dejected like French fans like going the opposite direction when we arrived at the stadium. But yeah, honestly, like watching the sevens at the Olympics and those games and the Canadian team come out with the silver medal was incredible. And then like the US had just won bronze, and then our Canadian team won silver, and it was an exciting game. So yeah, and I love that. Like, I didn't realize that Liv. Sorry, we're gonna get to the Liv interview, but I didn't realize that she played both sevens and the 15s. So I hadn't really just like my brain hadn't fully connected that, which is unusual and very cool.
Yeah, so she explains a little bit to us in this interview about the difference between what they play in Rugby World Cup and what they play in the Olympics. And we can get back to that, but let's hear from her first. All right, I'm talking to Liv Apps, who is the captain of the Olympic silver medal winning Canadian Rugby Sevens team and is right now in England for the Rugby World Cup. You guys are already there. You were just telling me like you had the opening ceremony. How exciting is it there? Like, are there crowds? Are there people? Is it pumped?
It's definitely, I mean, England is a really big rugby nation. So it's like there's the banners of the World Cup everywhere. Our bus is like covered in World Cup design and it says Team Canada on it, and all the teams have their own buses, and you can just tell like when we came into the hotel even that everything's like designed for us to be there, and the hotel is like so hospitable, and there's just you can just feel in the city that they've definitely, it feels like you're at like a major games, even though I mean it's not an Olympics obviously, but like it's kind of the Rugby Olympics, so it does feel that extra bit exciting.
And you guys, what is your first game?
First game is on Saturday at noon versus Fiji.
Okay. And so what do you guys do kind of in between games or in the lead up to relax, but also to like, you know, stay fresh and ready? It's
definitely a bit of a balancing act of trying to like decompress from the last game and then also refocus for your next opposition. It is really nice because we have a full week of prep to prepare for our next opponent. And so you have your game on the weekend and then you'll have a day off, and then usually you start ramping back into training. The team gets selected, like the 23 players that dress, and then basically just work on your strategy and your tactical plan for that week, preparing for game day. And then there's some days off in between. So
okay.
Yeah.
Do you guys have fun on the days off, or is it just like rest and recover?
It's definitely fun. Like it's a fun team. Okay. Yeah, we're a fun team, I feel like, and like we like to definitely explore a bit of the city, try some good food, but it's also a balance of like recovery and making sure you're not like getting too many steps and not feeling too fatigued, because you also need to like physically recover, but the mental recovery is important for us. So it's important to like switch off from rugby and just like enjoy where you're at.
And so I didn't realize until maybe last week that it goes for a whole month. So when we talk World Cup, like people will probably think like soccer World Cup. It's like that kind of thing. It goes for weeks and weeks here. Can you kind of tell people what is the Rugby World Cup? How does rugby union or 15s differ from sevens, which they might have seen in the Olympics, other than, you know, 7 players versus 15 players? Like, what are the major other differences?
Well, one of them that you just kind of mentioned is like the tournament. So like I have only experienced like in a high pressure tournament or any type of rugby tournament for me has been max 3 days versus this tournament is 6 weeks long. So mentally, like going into a sevens tournament, I'm like, okay, no matter how much pressure we feel, I know that in 3 days from now, it'll all be over. Like I'll know the outcome of this tournament. Versus this, it's like, well, a month and a half from now, we'll either be in a final or we won't be. So it's like hard to wrap your head around that, I think. And you, like, I don't know, you can ride the sevens train for 3 days and just like be really intense, and then you're out and you're like, oh, that was exhausting, that was intense. But then with this, it's like a lot of ups and downs. That I would say for me, like as an athlete, is the biggest difference. Like it's the biggest adjustment, I would say, between the two games. And for like listeners that don't know the difference, like the reason why 15s tournaments are so long is because the matches are 80 minutes versus a sevens game is only 14 minutes. So you can play 3 games in a day, or you play 2 games every day for 3 days. So sevens tournament would be like six games long, versus a 15s tournament is 3 pool games and then a quarter semifinal. So you're playing a max of 6 games. So recovery wise, your body can't play more than 1 80-minute game in a week. Like that would be kind of insane. So it has to be over the course of 6 weeks. Versus sevens, you can just fit more games into one.
And did they kind of do that, or I mean, maybe I wrong about this, but did they kind of do that for the Olympics so that they could, get it into the Olympics, which is much shorter, and
I
keep it
think
moving
so.
and all that? Okay.
Yeah, I think it's like the perfect Olympic sport, sevens is,
Yeah.
because you can just get it done in a weekend, and like the men's and women's tournament is done in like under a week. So
Right.
yeah, which is
It's
kind of too
very
bad because then
exciting.
15s would never be in the Olympics, I guess, even though soccer is, but soccer you can kind of chunk in a couple games in a week, I think.
Right,
But
right.
rugby is just not
Which
that
do
way.
you prefer? Since you played both now, I mean, a lot like some athletes don't play both, right?
Yeah.
Because there's different skills, but you played both. So which do you prefer?
Like a lot of people ask me this, and sometimes it depends on like what point I'm at in the season, like which
Okay.
one I prefer. But I think in all honesty, like I actually don't know. I love different parts of the game, and I think having both has been such a great opportunity because it complements different parts of the game, and it's nice to take a break from sevens and play 15s. It's nice when 15s just feels like a lot of contact and really intense. You can just go play a fun sevens tournament. So it's just like the having both is really special. If I had to pick one, I probably if I had to pick one, I would probably pick 15s just
Oh.
because the team is so much bigger and you get to be around so many more people and like meet a whole bunch of different people, and like the team size is just almost like triple from sevens, which I love, to be around so many different people and like I don't know, just people you would never
That's
interact with.
interesting.
Yeah, I think.
Huh. Yeah, I gotta think. I've never actually played a team sport now. Now I'm like thinking about the team dynamics, and there's probably like a
Yeah.
lot of hijinks and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a lot of it's a lot of fun team dynamics, and like when you spend 2 months on the road together, or like two
Right.
and a half months, like you really gotta hone in on that aspect of it because it's like super important to the performance of the team, especially when you're into like week 5 or
Right.
yeah.
Can you? Okay, so I have watched sevens. I've watched some 15s, but I'm not sure all of our listeners have seen either.
Yeah,
Can you explain in like, I don't know, 60 seconds how rugby works, like what the goal is, what they should watch for?
sure. So rugby is played on basically the same size as soccer pitch, almost the same, and you're trying to score the ball in the opposition's end zone, and you can run forward, but you have to pass the ball backwards, and you can get tackled if you have the ball. If you don't have the ball, you can't get tackled. And basically, there are different parts of like set piece, which is where you maybe see like a scrum where people are kind of like in a bear crawl position and they're like going against each other. That's a scrum. That's like where the attack would have a play off of it, or a line out. If the ball goes out of bounds, people are throwing it into the air and the ball's thrown.
Right.
That's called a line out. And there's just a lot of different strategy to the game, a lot of different tactics. You can kick the ball forward, you can pass backwards, and basically, if you
So
don't
you have
get
to pass backwards, but you can kick forwards, and you
exactly,
can run forwards.
exactly,
Okay.
yeah,
And you can tackle people, and then the ball's loose, and you can grab it.
the ball's loose, you can grab it. And sevens, there's only 7 versus 7, but it's the same size field. And then 15s is 15 versus 15, same size field.
Right. Okay. So that's why there's more running sometimes in sevens and more like running into each other in 15s.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it as physical? I think for people who have seen it, is it as physical and painful as it looks? Do you guys get hurt a lot?
I mean, like definitely injuries and like picking up niggles is part of the game for sure. Like it's a contact sport, you're going to be hurting, but and it's definitely as physical as it looks. I'm not going to pretend like I'm part of majority of the physicality because I play a position where ideally I avoid contact. So, but definitely like it's a physical game, and there are a lot of very strong, ferocious women that play the sport, and I'm terrified of them.
How do you even get into that? Like, how as a kid did you find rugby? Like, obviously, there's more teams now, but I don't know. I mean, was there a girls' team 10 years ago, 15 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely grown so much since I was playing. And like, I don't even think I could have said like one national team player playing rugby when I was 15, when I started playing. But I did just start playing for my high school team, and just kind of found it because there was no other sport available during that fall season. So I just like, okay, I'll just try rugby, I guess. And all my friends were playing it. So I just gave it a go. And the contact was never really like a turn off for me. I know with some people it is, but I think I just really enjoyed running fast. Like I love just like running around people and trying to avoid the contact by running fast. And so that was really fun. And then the contact just becomes part of it, because then when you figure out how to do it safely, you're not really thinking about it, you're just doing it, you know? And I think that there were definitely, obviously there was the national team. The national team has been around for a while. The sevens team had just become an Olympic sport when I started playing. So rugby was definitely up and coming, but the exposure that it has now is like not even comparable to back then.
But your high school had a girls team, or?
Yeah, we had a girls team. We had, and then like the club where I'm from in Ontario, like Lindsay Club, is a pretty like, they've had a lot of athletes go through that ended up playing for the national team. So it was already a club that I knew in my brain, that was like really successful in that sense, I guess.
Okay. And so obviously then you kind of like developed and progressed, and, you know, Youth Olympics, Commonwealth Games, then to Olympics. At what point were you like, oh, I could make like a career of this? Like, this is a job.
I think I'm kind of just in that place right now. Like, oh wait, can I make a career of this? But I think when it became an Olympic sport, and I heard that girls were moving out west if they got a contract with the sevens team, they were moving out to Victoria and they were training with the team full time. I thought, okay, whoa, like that'd be actually really cool if I could do that. Like maybe I'll try to move out there. Maybe I'll try to get a contract. And then, from then on, I just kind of like focused on that throughout high school and played. And then, yes, like you said, played Commonwealth Games and then Youth Commonwealth, and then, moved out west when I was 17. So right after high school.
Oh, wow.
And I think then and we get paid through the government, like through Sport Canada. And so it has allowed me to make a living in a sense. Like I'm able to live in Victoria, and I'm not working a second job and things like that. So it has worked out. And I think now with rugby right now, it's like, can you actually have a career? Like, could it be more professional and like soon? Like, could women actually just play this full time and not be concerned about a second job? Maybe in Canada, that is like definitely seems far away, but in other, like in England and Australia and New Zealand, they're definitely in that place. So it's cool.
Oh, so they have, because like obviously the US just started a league, but it's still kind of like, it's not a full-time job for sure.
Yeah.
And so you're saying Canada is not, it's still like a dream. It's still like a little ways off up there.
For sure, a little ways off, for sure. But there are other, like England has a pro league here that a lot of Canadians go play in to play and like make money playing, make somewhat of a living.
Oh, cool.
And then there's other leagues. There's New Zealand League in Australia and stuff, but it's not, the contracts aren't anything groundbreaking by any means, but it's something.
But you're able to, you train with the national team in Victoria, which is obviously how Sara knows you, and you're able to do that full time. What does training look like? Like, how much do you guys train? What do you do every day? You can't play actual full contact like every day, right? It has to be other parts too.
True. Yeah, we definitely can't do it every day. It depends on, like, if we're in a preseason, you're probably training 5 or 6 days a week, and you might be having some double days where you're on field twice in a day. You're lifting probably 3 times a week, and you have speed training probably 2 or 3 times a week, and then you're mixing in your rugby conditioning into that. And your contact days, probably at least half the days are contact, I would say.
Okay.
Like some contact element. Versus when we're on tour, it's a lot different because you're managing your body and like your load versus like making big gains. So we'll probably have like one legitimate contact practice in a week in a prep for a tournament, one like lighter, more like high pace running but less contact, and then a couple walking sessions. And we usually have a walking session in the morning and then a rugby afternoon. So
what's
and then 2 lifts.
session?
A walking session is where we walk and talk about rugby, like plays, different parts of, like if we had a game the past week, we might walk through different scenarios, debriefing things or getting ready for the next opponent. And it's more about like micro connections and walking through plays with the people you're next to, or like working on micro skills, like some passes, some kicks, or whatever you need to do. But it's like a low volume session, so you're not running a lot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And you were also the captain of the Olympic team, right? Does that involve like, what does being captain entail? Like, because now you've been talking about the team, and I'm thinking about all these teams and personalities. And do you have like extra stuff you have to do as, to manage all that?
Yeah, I think being captain is like definitely it's a responsibility and it's definitely a privilege for sure. And with that, there are managing things like you're kind of you are the leader on the field. So for me, I think my biggest thing was like bringing that calm and like focus energy on the field and leading the team forward in that sense and like being that person that they could rely on. And then off the field, it's also just like leading the team culture, like setting the example, setting the standards, like holding people accountable, like having a fun, loving, safe, trusting culture. And just like hopefully through like years and years of being captain, you like feed in that culture and really create an environment that's really empowering and safe for people. Like I think that's kind of the main thing. But also have a lot of other leaders. Like we have a leadership group where all those leaders support each other to be their best, and they take on different roles that aren't my strengths, and we all kind of work together to lead the team.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And you guys, obviously, I mean, it worked, right? Like the silver medal at the Olympics was pretty exciting.
Yeah.
The come from behind in the semi against poor Australia. They had so many come from behind losses in Paris.
Yeah, I do feel slightly bad for them.
But what was that like, to get that win in the semis and then that medal against New Zealand?
I mean, yeah, the semifinal win was pretty insane. Right. It was like, yeah, it was a moment. I mean, I know going into that game, I was like, I'm going to be really, really pissed if we lose this game. Like, I'm going to be really pissed. And the game started, and we've had so many close games with Australia, and we've only beat them like a couple times. So like we were going in there as the underdogs for sure. And the game started, and like they were up 12-0, and I was just like, I remember looking to my team, and I was like, hey guys, we just haven't had the ball yet. Like as soon as we get the ball, it'll be fine. We just need to get the ball. And then we got the ball, and then we scored, and then it was halftime. And then it just was like, we just took control of the game. And so when we won, I was obviously like an emotional shock, and it was the most amazing moment. But I was also like, yeah, like that is exactly what I knew we could do. So it's just like a mix of both, but also incredible because you realize in that moment you're walking away with a medal. It doesn't like it might be gold, might be silver, but you're walking away with a medal. Like that's huge.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting thing about like team rounds is that you then have a medal. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And we had all our
obviously
family there, like in the stands with us, which was like the best thing ever.
It was like an epic day because they played them all like back to back. Like we went to the semis and the finals and saw them, but yeah, it was like a long day, right? Where they had like all these different matches, and it was pretty exciting. So.
Yeah.
Did that excitement, because like at the Olympics, I mean, huge crowds, we were there, and then obviously like Ilona is like blown up here, right, and made rugby massive here in the U.S. Did you guys feel that kind of? Because everyone kept joking, right? It was like the hottest sport of the Olympics, and it's just. Did it feel like that, or were you just sort of like, this is what we do all the time?
No, I mean, it definitely felt like there was a shift for sure. Like coming home, like, and like for Canadians, a lot of people that hadn't watched rugby ever, and that would see me on the street and say like, I watched you guys in the Olympics. That was like the first time I ever watched rugby, and it was amazing. And like, I will never forget that. Like hearing how it like really impacted, just our communities. Like, and like the Olympic sport kind of does, like, it is a very like powerful, can be like a very powerful, beautiful thing, like sport connecting a country. And then on top of that, like the States getting bronze, I think in North America, it was like, woo, rugby is like really taking off. And with Ilona's success, it definitely has like, I feel like skyrocketed in a lot of ways, right, and set a cool precedent of like what's possible in this sport and like what's possible as a woman. So yeah, it's definitely been felt, and I feel like it's just continuing to go. And now the World Cup is like 1 year later, right, and Ilona's here, like everybody's super hyped for that. So it's like it definitely adds, like it's amazing. Yeah. Like she's just adds a whole other element to our game that like is just incredible.
It's kind of funny, right? Like who knew a rugby star was going to be the breakout celebrity?
Who knew? Yeah.
What should people like look for in the World Cup? Which game, like you're playing Fiji on Saturday, what other like games that we should circle? And how can they watch in Canada?
So all of our games will be on TSN, and then also streamed live on TSN Plus, but they're all will be on TSN, like on your TV. Our pool matches are Fiji, Wales, and Scotland. So okay. I think all of those matches will be great to watch. For us, like we're obviously aiming to get into the World Cup final, and we're anticipating to play England in the final. They're ranked first, we're ranked second. Crazy. So it's definitely...
And it's in England.
So I would say like those 3 pool matches, like we're going to be playing for the next 3 weeks, like those would be ones to flag, and then we'll see how the pool stages go, and ideally we're in a quarterfinal and then we move on from there. But that's what the near future looks like for us. So it's quite exciting.
Well, I hope it goes well, and maybe you guys make some TikToks, some videos from while you're in your downtime, so we can all follow along.
Exactly, we'll try our best for sure.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for chatting with us, and good luck, this weekend and for the next month and a half, I guess.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me and putting rugby on the map once again. Appreciate it.
All right. Have you watched Rugby 15s or Union or however they call it?
A long time ago.
It's definitely more like if you're used to American football, it looks more like that. Like there's more running into each other.
Right.
And less like sevens because it's the same size field with like less people covering it in sevens. Mm-hmm. There's more running, right? And throw like it's faster and it moves and it's shorter, right?
Yeah.
Whereas the 80-minute, it's definitely more just like everyone like scrums.
Yes.
And pushes each other. Yeah.
Yes. So I loved hearing from Liv. It actually reminded me of I had a gym teacher when I was in the Middle East. So get this here. I was in United Arab Emirates and we didn't have rugby as part of our, you'll be shocked to learn, we didn't have rugby as part of our girls' gym class curriculum in high school. But I had a gym, whatever you call her, gym teacher who used to be on like the Scottish national rugby team. So then like one day we're just like after school, she's like, do you guys want to learn how to play rugby? And we were like, oh, hells yeah. Like, I don't know. We were supposed to be at basketball practice or something. And she took us out to play rugby. And I have to say, like hearing Liv talk about the tackling kind of brought me back there. Because it is what I would have otherwise been scared of. It is kind of fun to be tackled. She's like, just wait. If you're tackled properly, it won't hurt. I'm like, okay. So she's like, just run. I remember this. She was just run that way and I'm going to tackle you. Don't worry. So I start running. I'm like 15 or something. She started running. She comes. I don't even remember this teacher's name. She comes in. She tackles me from behind. And honestly, it was like, yeah, it's just like when they tackle you, take you out of the knees like that. Or like you just fall better. You just fall better. I don't know. It just worked. So yeah. So then I was all in. Like I could have done rugby after that, but of course we didn't have a rugby program. So yeah,
we had one. I thought about it, but no. My dad played rugby when I was a kid, and I have a very vivid memory of him having his cornea torn, his eye. What? When I was very little, and he had to sit in like a dark room for like a month,
right? Wow.
With an eye patch.
Wow.
So. When it goes badly, it goes badly.
Right.
But yeah, it starts this Friday, and like she said, you guys are supposed to do good. Canada is.
You guys are supposed to do good.
Yes. The U.S. is ranked like 10th or something, and they have to play England in the first game, so it just doesn't bode well. But.
Right.
It does start. The whole tournament kicks off with England versus the U.S. this Friday. Yeah. I think they were trying to get home field versus Ilona Maher, like just to really kick it off.
But they don't want you don't want Ilona Maher to go out.
Well, it's pool play, like in the World Cup.
Oh,
you know
okay.
I mean? So
okay.
You have groups.
Fair.
So sorry, it goes for 6 weeks. It's pool play. Yeah. You have 4 groups of 4. And then you advance quarter semifinals, which is why it goes until like late September. So pool play for these first 2 weeks. Is happening. Yeah, I was like Liv said what teams you guys play, and then the US is in England's group, so it's like harder for the US to get through. And it is very easy. Like I went to look up the schedule, and it literally just like told me what like it converted to my time, and it told me who was showing it in my region like immediately.
Oh,
yeah. So I didn't have to do any like thinking.
Great.
So we'll share that. And
yeah.
And I was like, oh, it's on CBS Sports. That's easy. Yeah.
Yeah. I also thought it was super interesting that they only play 1 game per week and that because they need recovery time in between. Yeah. And because I know what it takes to recover from running around for that long, it's not the running they're recovering from, presumably, right? It's the contact.
Yes.
Yeah, which is kind of wild.
So it'll be exciting. It'll be interesting. Mm-hmm. New Zealand's won 6 times. something like that. And they're the defending champs. So you guys are going to have to beat them.
Okay, go Canada.
Go Canada.
I'm so here for this.
All right, to wrap up, Sarah, besides rugby, besides WNBA, besides the Leadville course record, who is your feisty pick of the week?
But my feisty pick of the week is not besides WNBA. It is
fine.
WNBA.
It is the WNBA.
I just want to give a shout out to Brittney Griner,
Okay.
who just watching play in real life is so dominant. You know, like she's not just tall and strong, which she is tall and strong, but she also made like great plays, good picks, good passing, great shooting. Her long arms, which I kind of kept making a joke of, because really, like, if you're going for a rebound and the person beside you just has their arms are like a foot longer than yours,
Right.
you have no
it's not
chance.
happening.
So there were some like genetic pieces that were like, wow. And then also her game was wow. All aspects of it, right? Like not just a shooter, but like with the layups and the picks and this is my high level basketball knowledge.
That's your
I'm saying
that's
picks
great. That's
over
great.
and over
Picks
again.
a bunch of times. Yeah.
But yeah,
Gotta get your zone to zone. Yeah.
yeah. I was just legitimately impressed by her. So that's who I'm picking.
My feisty pick of the week is Tara Dower. Some of our listeners will know who that is. She set the overall fastest known time of the Appalachian Trail last year. Like broke the men's time and the women's time last year. Did in like 41 days. She just yesterday, when we're recording this, so like early this morning, broke the men's and women's record for the Vermont Long Trail, which our friend had the women's record before.
Oh, she broke Alyssa's record?
Right. So she broke. So I texted Alyssa yesterday and was like, oh, is she going after your record? And she was like, yes, but she's also going after the men's record. So she broke the men's record too and did it in like 3 days.
She beat the men's record on the long trail. She did it in 3 days?
Yes.
Okay, because for our audience, I was out there with Alyssa helping her with her social media and just helping out in general on the crew when she did the FKT on the Vermont Long Trail, and it took
5
just
days.
a little over 5 days, 5 days and 2 hours or something like that. I can't recall specifically. And it was like what she did was entirely badass. I probably couldn't manage to get through just a normal day on the amount of sleep she had, let alone several days in a row without sleep and constantly running / hiking quickly. So 3 days is wild and insane to me.
Yes, it is crazy. I guess she just slept less. That was how she did it. So kudos to her. That's my pick for this week. And our old podcast, Iron Women. You can go and listen to an interview with her between Alyssa and Tara. They talk last year. So.
Okay, I have one thing to say before we go, Kelly.
Okay.
Women are amazing.
Women are amazing. Oh my God.